What's going on, everybody? This is Ken Pozek, and this is Orlando Real Live. We're talking about everything going on in Orlando. It's been a bit of a crazy week. And today, I've got Kristen Pavlik hanging out. What's going on, Kristen?
Hey, a lot of things. We're going to talk about a lot of things.
A lot of crazy things if you've got a lot of money that you might want to go do crazy things.
Rich people things.
Rich people things, for sure. But today, obviously, our show, as every week, is about you. We want to kind of get to interact with you guys and have questions answered. So a lot of our show is just that. So make sure, you let us know down below where you're watching from, because that always helps out. Let us know who our audience is and how we can best serve you. And then secondarily, you probably got questions. If you live here, if you're thinking about moving here, about real estate, theme parks, or hey, what's it actually like living in Orlando? I think we've got two very different lifestyles, you and I.
Well, we have some things in common.
We like to run. We like the theme parks.
But yes.
This is true, but we'd love to answer your questions. So you guys are checking in already. I appreciate that. Jeremy checking in from Conway. Stephanie checking in from Simpsonville, South Carolina. We've got Don Juan checking in from Colorado. Let's see. Keith is Old Bridge, New Jersey, soon to be Orlando, Florida. What's going on?
Oh, very exciting.
Wiggy's checking in from Kentucky, and we got people from North Carolina, Mineola, all types of people. So we so appreciate you guys hanging out here. So first and foremost, Kristen, real estate in Orlando, but really everywhere, is starting to get more expensive.
That is true.
And it's not really starting. It's been getting more and more expensive since 2019.
Yeah, we've seen a huge amount of growth in not just rental prices, but also homes that are being sold. It's been interesting as a Florida native to hear everybody say, well, my day homes were this much, right?
Right. And so things have definitely changed. And one of the articles we want to chat about today is these cities have the lowest cost of living in Orlando. This is by Fox 35. And they talk about how, rents skyrocketing in Florida, home prices have doubled in so many areas, and that many people are considered leaving the state that go find more affordable options. It's interesting when people say that to me is like, where are you going to get quality of life that's also significantly cheaper? Because so many of the other cities that we have friends that sell real estate in, they also got 30, 40, 50% appreciation.
Yeah.
So it's not like things are so much cheaper other places. But here's some of the cities that they talked about were some of the more affordable based on average sales price and just sort of things to do in the area. Number one was Zellwood. This is right north of Apopka. There's not a lot of houses that sell in Zellwood.
I don't tour there very often, if I'm honest.
That's right.
It's good to know that it's a great opportunity in Orange County for something a little bit more affordable.
It is, yeah. Getting in Orange County and getting something reasonably expensive or inexpensive is hard to do. I did a whole video not too long ago about the most the areas that appreciated the most year over year, and Zellwood was actually number one, but there was only like 30 sales there.
So but they carried the team, right? They were strong sales.
Yes, yeah, they were strong sales, but there were only a few dozen of them.
But maybe that's a good thing, because now here's an area that is a little bit more affordable. That's right. Still close to everything that you could take a look at.
Yeah, absolutely, exactly. And so same thing with Umatilla, depending on how you say it. Umatilla.
I don't.
So it's a suburb in Lake County with a population of only 3,600. And according to Niche and some other places, this is a really decent area, decent public schools, average sales prices or average household income is $60,000. But it's another one that's kind of like really every one of these on this list. Airport North, which is outside of Orlando.
Right.
Yeah.
A lot of Lake County on here.
There are a lot of Lake County.
Silver Lake, Ilaha, Pershing. This is a good one. 1,400 residents, right?
Yeah. And it's in Orlando. It's a neighborhood in Orlando. Rio Grande Park, Campbell. This is in Osceola County. Christmas. That's kind of like, it's technically Orange County.
It is. It's definitely more rural, I would say.
It is very rural. If you're looking for land, that's a big one.
Perfect opportunity. And you could build your own dream home. That would be fun.
Yep. The city's rated A for housing and being good for families, according to niche.com. And again, it's a very small suburb in Orange County. But again, so many people move here and they're like, oh, I'm used to being on 20 acres or 10 acres. And we have to unfortunately tell them, not here.
Yeah, a lot of the neighborhoods and communities are developed with as many possible homes that can fit in there in mind, right? So
That's
I
right.
jokingly say, do you want to be able to high five your neighbor? Because you sometimes can outside of your window, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing about this list that I wanted to talk with you about and with our people watching is like sometimes if you want proximity and you want amazing schools and you want newer home and you want amenities in the neighborhood, you got to give and take. Yeah, I mean, like if your budget is the one thing that only matters and you're just like, hey, I want to be somewhere in Central Florida, there's actually lots of options where you can still get something in the 300s. It's just you're going to have to drive and you're going to have to give up some of those like local close by amenities.
Right. There's not going to be a lot of Uber Eats when you open up the app. Essentially.
This is true. You may have to drive. So speaking of that, Thomas asks, hey, I'm looking to move to Haines City. What are my thoughts on Haines City? And one of the things I always say about this area is I think it's going to be like once, say, like Claremont and some of these other areas that have a lot of developments get built out, Haines City is going to be one of those that's next. But we're not next today. It's kind of like you're a good 10, 15 years out before it really starts to have, you know, Uber Eats and things.
Hey, that's important to some people.
No, it really is. It really is. I was talking to some of our staff members over the past week and we were talking about spending habits. I'm like, what's the number one thing you spend money on? And they're like, Uber Eats.
Yeah. And Disney for me.
And Disney is an easy one to spend a bunch of money on. That's for very sure. Ed G Vlogs says, hey, great videos. Where's the best place to live near Lake Nona that's affordable? What would you say?
Near Lake Nona. So not in Lake Nona. I mean, there's a ton of one-off neighborhoods around the Lake Nona area that are very much more affordable than actually being in Lake Nona. And then there's a whole new development that is happening that we're calling Lake Nona Part 2.
Yeah, Sunbridge.
And there's a lot of availability in there. And right now, if you're getting in on the ground level, I mean, once they do all of the infrastructure in there with the plans that they have for kind of this shopping district, it's going to blow up in price. It's going to be like Lake Nona. So if you can have a little bit of faith in that and you know, just be there on the ground level, there's so many different builders in that community as well. There's a lot of options, and you're less than 5 miles away from the Lake Nona district, so Boxy Park and all of that. And you're getting a really great deal because the builder incentives are phenomenal right now.
They're fantastic. And so I agree. I think that Moss Park, which is just north of Lake Nona, you're still in the 32832 zip code. And so it's definitely, you know, I would say 10 to 20% cheaper than Lake Nona proper. And so if you want to be in the area, that's a great one. So yeah, just depending on what area you want to be. Also Hunters Creek, I think people sleep on Hunters Creek.
Yeah, they do.
Because the housing stock there is maybe like a little bit older. You know, you got stuff that's 25, 30 years old, which to us is like Floridians is old.
When you're used to looking at Lake Nona and you know that everything has a new roof and a new AC and they're just a more modern looking, and then you go look at Hunters Creek, it's apples to oranges. You know what I mean? But location wise, you can't really beat it.
I love the location of Hunters Creek. And so there's plenty of people that are willing to get in there. And the cool thing one way or the other, I think, is there's actually smaller houses in Hunters Creek. You can get like a 1,400 square foot house, single story, that's in a good price point. And yeah, it might need a roof and kitchen, some other stuff. But the proximity of it, like just north of Celebration, you're like equidistant to the airport.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of things to love about it. So that's a good one. Harrison mentions, hey, the Sunbridge new K8 Marina commercial, it will explode.
Yes, Harrison, exactly. If you wait until it's already there, then you're going to be priced out.
That's right. Absolutely. Capstone says, why would anybody live in a 55 and older community?
Because they're fun. It's happening. There's activities. There's a big sense of community. There's always lots of amenities.
He says to play bingo and Scrabble. Sometimes
don't sleep on bingo.
I played Yahtzee yesterday, so I don't know. I kind of like it. But here's the thing. I think at the end of the day, they've got activities directors. You're surrounded by other people that are like you. Some people, if your kids are in college or you got grandkids and you don't want to be surrounded by kids, that might be a play for you. I think there's plenty of reasons so people would want to live in a
I'm down.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm just waiting for that time.
Exactly. It's going to be a little bit long time for you. Joel says, I wonder if you have any recommendation for fine dining. Lake Nona has a few. So actually, we're going to talk about some fine dining stuff. You want to chat about that tonight?
Yeah, let's go. Let's go for it.
So one of the things that Orlando, or actually Florida, was named, they had the best restaurant
in the country,
which this kind of was surprising to me.
Wait, don't tell them yet. Can anybody guess? Can anybody guess in the chat what the number one restaurant named in the country is? It's here in Florida.
Let's see.
What do we think?
Plenty of pickleball players.
It is fine dining. That's your first hint.
Let's see. There's a lot of good ones here. There's Kappa that's here. That's my favorite restaurant. That's a Michelin star. You've got over in Lake Nona. He mentioned Lake Nona. You've got Haven and Pecan and some other stuff that's really nice over there. Jeremy says he saw the article, so it's not fair.
No cheating, Jeremy.
We're going to tell him. We're going to tell
you.
him. All right. So it's actually Victoria and Albert's.
Victoria and Albert's, look.
Yeah. Oh, V&A. You
Look
got
at
it,
that,
Wiggy Debates. Good job. So here's the thing. I was surprised at this because it's not technically like, you know, Michelin star restaurant, but they're in the Michelin guide. But yeah, number one. And the list was dominated by restaurants that were in New York and California and Virginia. But here we got right inside the Grand Floridian, Victoria and Albert's. Have you ever been?
No, so I've never been, and I know you've never been. And so I think we can expense it on our taxes as market research.
It is market research. The people want to know.
And
so
we will deliver it for the people.
It
is American dining. It is fine dining. It is very elegant. It takes reservations. And what is the average price? It's a prefix course, correct?
Yeah. So a prefix course, it's $295 is what it starts at. The award-winning wine list has a diverse collection of over 500 wines,
Fantastic.
Which seems incredible to me.
I do know that if you have dietary restrictions or you're a vegan, they will make you an entire menu separate from their prefix menu. So you're still getting a fantastic experience.
Yeah, I hear it is when you say an experience, it's an experience. It's not like you're popping in and going to eat, but you're probably going to spend for two people $800-900 easily.
Yeah.
Like, if not more, depending on how the wine's flowing and that sort of thing. Victoria and Albert's, I thought this was great. I do think that's interesting that they get passed over on so many other lists. So this was kind of like an interesting one that sort of popped out of nowhere.
We love it. We love it. And we'll be there for you. We'll go for you.
Yeah, we will. Sounds good to me. All right. So Whitney asks, are there any new condo developments in the works that are not short-term rental? And Whitney, you are absolutely right in mentioning short-term rental, because we have some over at the Grove. We have some in a lot of the resort markets that are all short-term rental based.
Reunion.
You can't live there full time. And I've been saying for quite some time, they need to do more condo conversions where you have some of these older apartments that should be turned into condos, because I think there's a demand for it. And unfortunately, there's not a ton. I know we talked about downtown Orlando's got the JW Marriott eventually coming.
Right. Soon. How many years are we thinking on that project?
They're talking about breaking ground next year.
That would be great.
Huge.
But those are going to be luxury.
Yeah. And so if you're not in the $1 million or $1.5 million plus range, that's probably not going to be for you. There's some new ones coming to the Four Seasons private residences. There's going to be like 30 of those over in the gates of Golden Oak. Those are going to be probably $2 million plus. So it's just not as you think condo, you think affordable.
Yeah.
That's not what they're going for.
I don't think they're going for that. Right. So there's definitely a demand for that, I think. I mean, we know there's a demand for the luxury side, but I think we could also get some mid-tier pricing, and I think it would be really beneficial, and I think it would sell really fast.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree. And so I think maybe it's the cost of the building, the fire suppression. There's so many things that Orlando now requires for even just townhomes.
Well, I know that there's a lot more regulations ever since what happened in Miami. So
Seaside
I know it can be harder now to build, which it should be, right? Yep. We want to protect our people. So I think there's just a lot of loops that you have to jump through in order to develop that. And that's why there's maybe not so much happening right now.
Yeah, agreed. So what about if people are looking for more of like an affordable but low maintenance living, where do you think people should maybe look?
Affordable and low maintenance living.
Because I think that's why people choose condos, right?
Yeah, I mean, townhomes are my next go-to because there's a lot of times no exterior maintenance that's required because the HOA covers that. So if you're looking for something where you're just maintaining what's inside your four walls, the next step would probably be townhomes.
Yep.
And those are all over. I mean, we can find townhomes in basically every county. And then after that, it's going to be just smaller single family homes.
Yeah. And I mean, some of these people were mocking the 55 and older, which I'm not mocking. We sell a lot of them. I think they're a good product, but there's a lot of these neighborhoods that are 55 and older that cover all exterior maintenance. Mm-hmm. So you don't have to worry about pool or
painting
grass or any of that stuff. Mm-hmm. There's celebration is part of celebrations that way. So it just depends. There's plenty of stuff if you're looking for lower.
But you are going to be paying for it.
You are going to be paying for it.
Condo and HOA fees.
This is very, very true. All right. So somebody mentioned, I thought this was actually a really cool one. Where did he say? So Winston, my man, Winston, where are you at? Where are you flying at in the world? This guy's always checking in. He's like, I'm in Alaska. I'm in here. I'm over here. And he mentioned something about the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center. And I think this is really cool. Have you seen the renderings of this?
I have, and only because there's an ongoing feud between me and my John, because I, for the longest time, thought they were done with the Dr. Phillips Center. And he was telling me that they weren't. They were doing more. And now every time they release something that they're doing, he rubs it in my face.
John's like, see, I told
you.
So This is
The front yard. Yes, let's talk about this
This is
because I know all
exciting.
about it.
Well, for one thing, so during COVID, the front yard or the front lawn of the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center, it was really cool because they made this outdoor theater essentially where they were doing shows and all these things outside that people could take advantage of in the fresh air
And be distanced from each other because the space is so large.
And it went over really well.
It was great.
I mean, did you ever go to the show down there?
No, but every time we drove by and there was something happening, it's just so fun to watch.
It was packed. And so they looked at this and said, okay, well, we really don't have much more land left other than the front yard per se. And so let's make use of it. And so the Dr. Phillips Performing Arts Center has just released renderings in the third phase of what's going to go on. And it's basically, they're taking this front whole area right here, which is, if you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can kind of see where I'm circling. If you're listening back to the podcast, if you know about the front lawn, all that grass right outside of the VIP area, they're going to turn into like an outdoor amphitheater.
Which is going to be stunning.
Yes.
Because right now it is, when it's not all set up for some type of event, it is just kind of green, boring lawn. And so this is going to be, I just think, the biggest highlight that downtown Orlando is ever going to have at this point. It's going to be amazing.
Because you get there, like if you're not going to the Amway or the entertainment district that they're doing over there, like you kind of pop in and you see this lawn. This is something that everybody's passed if you've been in that Orange County or Orange Ave area. And so, yeah, I think this is cool. They're going to elevate it up to where people are going to be able to walk through. The lawn is not going away. They're not covering it or anything like that, but they're going to make it a very like usable outdoor space.
Almost like when I was in Rome and they had all the like outdoor amphitheaters. I think it's very much, it's just a living theater space that can be utilized for so many different things. They can put on shows, they can have events. I mean, it's going to be really neat.
Yeah, they've got an arts garden. They've got North Music. So very, very cool. I grabbed these renderings from the bungalow. So thank you, Brendan. Good to see you, my friend. All right, so let's keep going. What's going on? Have you heard about this whole like Titanic search thing? Very sad.
So sad, and so many articles about it. So like, what is actually happening? What is truth? What is fiction? And from what we know right now, they have not found them.
Yeah, it sounds like based on the Coast Guard has now come out even as of tonight and said that they think that, you know, it's gone, and they've declared that these people have passed away. But there was very, very sad, the whole thing. But it was interesting when I started looking through articles on local ties to Orlando and this whole submersible. And do you know who Mark and Sharon Hagel are?
They're a very prominent winter park couple.
They are. They're building one of the biggest houses in Orlando. So they're real estate veterans. And so it's interesting because they actually were suing the company Ocean Gate and the CEO Stockton Rush of fraud and violating some of Florida's Deceptive and Unfair Trade Practices Act. And so what it sounds like is that they were getting ready to go on this
in
a few years
July,
ago.
Right? That was like a
couple of Julys ago.
Yeah.
Right. And so they had paid like a down payment and they were paying to go, and they felt like they were basically defrauded of their money, that it wasn't something that they wanted to go do. And so it's interesting. But if you've never heard of this couple before, not only are they one of the richest couples in Orlando, but they're also looking, speaking of like wealthy people doing stuff that wealthy people do.
Rich people stuff.
Yeah, this is rich people stuff. They're actually starting this company where you can, for $125,000 a ticket, go to space.
And weren't they going to originally take Pete Davidson with them?
They were, yeah. Pete Davidson signed up. He was like one of the first ones, and then he backed out. But you can trek to outer space if you can afford the $125,000 ticket. Basically, it's this big space balloon that is going to be set up kind of like a little living room. And let us know in the comments, would you guys go here? Like, is this something that you would do?
Do you think we could expense it?
I don't know if we could expense it,
but market research.
This one, I was okay before the Titanic stuff happened, and I was like, little time capsule. Like, I don't know, in the water or in space. I would choose space. I feel
like space feels safer to me.
I don't know why it feels safer.
The ocean is scary.
I don't know why it feels safer, but I agree with you. And so from space perspectives, has finalized the design for Spaceship Neptune, a sleek looking capsule that will offer panoramic views 20 miles above with luxury amenities.
My goodness, this does sound pretty fun.
It does sound pretty fun. I don't know if I'll be able to expense it, but that's what it looks like. They've got a massive balloon that's going to essentially, look how small the capsule is on the bottom.
It's tiny.
It's so small. But yeah, you can go up there for $125,000. I think space tourism and stuff like this is probably going to be bigger and bigger.
The more it becomes popular and more companies start diving into this kind of revenue stream, I think it'll become more affordable. Probably not ever super affordable, but at least more than $125,000.
$125,000. Don Juan says, I like being on the ground.
You know, I feel you.
Jim
I feel
says,
you.
no, thank you.
No, thank you.
Goofy says that they found some debris 1,600 feet away from the Titanic. Yeah, we definitely had heard that. And so it's, yeah, very sad all together. But it's just interesting, the different tourism things and what people spend their money on. And
It's the future.
Difference. Yeah, I think it really is. It really is. So, all right, let's keep going here. What else do we got for tonight?
Well, we can talk about, since we're on the topic of finances and money, we can talk about the fact that apartment rent has decreased.
Yes. I did a reel about this over on Instagram, and people were like, rents will never decrease.
But
so I'm like, but they have. Not a ton. The average rent for Orlando is down from $1,828 per month to $1,808 per month. Nothing crazy. But when you look at the crazy fast appreciation and crazy fast rent spikes, it's good to see it kind of starting to pull back in different areas. Yeah, it's definitely a nice reprieve from just the constant conversation of people being pushed out of their rentals because landlords were increasing them significantly. Yeah, absolutely. And so they're saying that basically they feel like we have a little bit of a slowdown here because the competition between our new apartment buildings and communities finally going online, which is what I had been saying before. Like, hey, listen, I think that rents will eventually pull back just because if you start flooding the market with new inventory, well, supply and demand, they're going to all of a sudden start going to the newer apartments and the better location apartments and those sort of things. So we're starting to see that. Yeah, which is, I think, great. Yeah, I think so too. So let's keep going with real estate before we get into some theme park news and definitely keep going here because we've got Chris Murray asking questions about Ovation. We've got other people checking out regards to different real estate questions. So let's keep popping over here. What do you think is going on in the real estate market? Are we down? Are we flat? Are we up? What's been going on in the past month? I don't think that's ever going to happen ever again, actually. No. I mean, we're seeing more pendings than available listings. It's been very consistent. There is just still, we say it all the time, I feel like a broken record, but low inventory. We have low inventory, more homes go under contract than come available. So we just are, it's multiple offers a lot of times on move-in ready or turnkey homes. Yep. And yeah, there's still a lot of competition in the market. So great time to sell. But I think we are still seeing fantastic opportunity for buyers, especially in new construction with the amount of incentives that builders are offering. Yeah. So that's the big one I wanted to chat about tonight. So the amount of new construction buyers, basically, Q3, Q4 of last year, they pulled out of the market. You had people saying, I'm not paying 5%. I'm not paying 6%. I'm not paying 7% interest rates. Right. So they all just went onto the sidelines. Then you had builders who said, well, they see this happening. So they stopped building spec homes. Yep. And then all of a sudden we had a run up again because there's no new inventory and no new spec homes for builders. It's kind of made a weird market. So now builders are like, hey, they're starting to come back to market and offer more incentives to try to bring more buyers back, building from the ground up. So have you seen supply, like in terms of like homes getting built faster again? Or do you feel like things are still pretty slow and touch and go? It feels like there's hot parts of the market and there's slow parts of the market. Because I have some builders who are just, I mean, they're so quick and they're so good at getting these homes done on time. And then there are others that are just like 2 months delay, 3 months delay, or it's stuck in permitting or this. So I am still seeing, I'm seeing both essentially at this point. Yeah. I think that's why it's almost better if you can find a property that the permits have been approved and it's moving along and you can say, hey, I know it's going to be done in 2 to 3 months. Yeah. You may not get to pick your flooring and your cabinets and do all the features of the home, but at least, you're going to have a home that will be completed and it'll be brand new warranties, all of that. Yeah, I think that's the big holdup we're seeing with a lot of people. I have clients that have still been waiting 18 months on contracts that they signed 18 months ago. I do as well. And so it's this constant weekly conversation around like, hey, we'd love to get you into your new house. The builder's just a little slow. Windows are delayed. Roofs was delayed. Block was delayed. It was just kind of like trades right now. One thing after another. Yeah. And so I think new construction is still a great option. And because of all of this slowdown, this is the one thing that we want to get across to you tonight is that builders are starting to offer incentives again, starting to help you buy down rates. We closed on somebody that just yesterday with DR Horton, and they'd let them buy the rate down to like high 4s. Yes. I know there's a community in Stanford that's buying them down to the low 5s. It's such a huge opportunity with that. And so if you're in the market, resale is actually a little bit tougher because there's not a lot of inventory. It's like a month's supply of homes, which is like really, really low. And they all have 10 or 20-year-old roofs and old hot water heaters and
Polybutylene piping.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It
It's
is wild. It
wild.
is so wild. Rebecca asked a really great question though. So Ken, are rents going down for apartments only or single family rentals doing this too in Florida? So Rebecca, I've actually done like spot checks on all of my rentals because I have some of them that are starting to come due that I'm going to need to either increase rents, keep them the same, or lower them. All of my single families have continually gone up. Now, not 10%, 15, 20% like they were, but they've gone up 1 or 2% year over year.
Yeah, just slightly increased rent on my rental property.
Did you?
I felt a little bad about it.
Oh, well.
But it's still under the average.
Well, your local area, like where you live, is so good. I mean, that they should be super happy.
Walkable to Kelly's.
Walkable to Kelly's. So Khan asks, do I recommend buying infill lots in Winter Park and build a modern contemporary house? Do I recommend builders? Yeah, I've got a whole list of builders depending on what you're looking for. If you're looking for modern contemporary, Phil Keen does a really good job, especially in Winter Park. But there's a lot of really good ones. So feel free to DM me and I can give you a list of those. But yeah, I think infill is still the way to go, especially if you want a more established neighborhood like Winter Park or Windermere.
I feel like that's the only option at this point. I know Windermere does have that last new community that's coming, but if you want to live in Winter Park in a new home, we're going shopping for a 1950s teardown and then we're going to build it, right?
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, I think that's a great spot. And honestly, we've been land hunting for a lot of our clients because that's another deal, because there's nothing new construction like a new neighborhood where they say, hey, there's 100 new houses in Winter Park or in Windermere or Sodo or any of these other places. So we've been land hunting, finding teardowns for our people, and then playing matchmaker with the builders. That's something that we've kind of started doing quite more of.
I think it's fun.
It's
I really
fun.
do.
It really is. Shanna asks, will these high-end hotels like the W or Nobu offer condos for short-term rental? So the W's not, but I had heard that the Nobu was talking about some sort of villas, and I'm not sure if they're going to keep them in-house, very similar to what they're doing over at Evermore, or if they were going to be selling these for short-term rentals. But the moment that the permits go through and this moves forward, I will let you guys know. Yeah.
Stay tuned.
All right, we got a couple other questions that I don't want to move too fast.
They go fast.
So Chris Murray says, Horizon West Ovation specifically, new construction won't fill up before I get there in May of 2024, will it? No, not at all, sir. Chris, there's probably 2,500 more homes to sell, and then Horizon West will be done. One of the ones that just got released this past week was Harvest at Ovation. That was the Taylor Morrison neighborhood, right?
Yes. We're excited about this.
We are excited about this. And we actually had 3 clients actually land some homes there. So this is a really big one. So Taylor Morrison, this is the new Ovation area right off of New Hartsog Road. They have not released their front load product, which is what you see on their website right now. They've really only released their rear load bungalows. So you got the Baldwin right here, the Newberry, the Ashwood. So these are the ones that they're doing. So they're all rear entry and like alley entry. And these are going to start right in the mid 500s.
I think that's great.
I think so too. I really do. So 2,000 square feet, 2 and 3 bedrooms plus an office. These are probably garages. You're probably going to push 600 by the time, but the location is really hard to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Pulte, super secret.
Oh yeah, what you got?
There's about going to be 87 homes that they're going to be developing in Winter Garden as well.
What was the neighborhood?
It's called Winter Grove.
Winter Grove. That's right off of Roper, and so that's going to be a new one. I think as these little infill neighborhoods. That's what we're talking about. With Winter Park, infill neighborhoods are gone, but Winter Garden and Windermere, I think you're still going to see these like 10, 15, 30 lot neighborhoods by some of these big builders. Because what Kristen's talking about is Pulte, and they're huge. And so for them to slow down and do like a little
87
like
neighbor with a tot lot.
Yeah. They know the demand is there. So that's what they're getting going on. I missed a couple other ones. I want to keep looking back here. All right. So Michael says, I'm a couple years out from moving to Orlando from Minnesota. Congratulations when that happens.
Yes.
I know the snow life and I don't miss it. What's the process, the difference buying new versus pre-existing? This is a really great question, Michael. You want to explain the difference?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, ultimately, the biggest difference is going to be timeline, right? Because with a pre-existing home, the average amount of time to close would be about 30 days if you're doing a mortgage. If you're doing a cash transaction, it can obviously be a lot quicker.
Yep.
And then with a new build, if you're building from the ground up, you're looking at an 8 to 12 month process once permits are filed. Yep. However, there are a lot of these communities that are going to be doing pre-permitting for homes that you may not get to pick all of the features, but they will be a lot quicker of a build. So you can see anything from a couple months to 6 months to, 12. So really that's the biggest difference. I would say the other thing is going to be insurance, right? So a new construction home is going to be a lot easier to insure. You've got the warranties. There's a little bit more peace of mind there. A pre-existing home, if it hasn't been renovated, and even if it has been renovated, there are some pitfalls with insurance that you just have to be aware of. And it's why it's important to have a real estate agent.
That's true. That's true. There's some people that can navigate the process. It's a very small amount. And when you think about moving from like a Minnesota or from even just another city, not only are we going to help you locate the area, but understand the builders and then the pitfalls of like which builders are good, which ones are maybe not so good, or hey, if you're getting a great deal on new construction, there's probably a reason why, and here's what that is. And then obviously hold their feet to the fire to get you the end product that you're looking for. But resale, we do a lot of that as well.
We do a lot of resale because, like we said, that some of these communities are so built up, and if you want to be in the heart of SoDo or the heart of Winter Park, you're doing resale.
That's right. Yeah. Kim asked a question. Kim loves Claremont, and I love Kim loving Claremont. So do I think Ridgeview will eventually get noisy traffic once Olympus opens up? I mean, at any given suburb area, I don't think it's going to be some massively rowdy area up and down 27. And the way that they've got these neighborhoods kind of set up back off the road, I don't think it's going to be too crazy. I think that we live in Horizon West, my wife and family and I, and you'd think that being so close to Disney and so close to all the things that it would be loudy and crazy, but it's not. It's just a normal.
I mean, living in the downtown area, there's definitely times like when the soccer stadium lets out, or when the Dr. Phillips, has a big concert or something. Yes, like those times, it's almost like school drop off and pick up. There's busy times, but for it to be loud all the time, I don't think that's going to be the case. And if anything, it's going to be really fun to be a part of all the activity that is happening.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think if you're going to live near Olympus, or you're going to be living some of these other areas that have a lot going on, you're going to appreciate it more than anything. I don't think it's going to be like a 1 a.m. Oh my God, would they just stop being so loud? Where if you live in New York or something, it's loud all the time. There's cars and
honking and shouting in the street. It won't be that way.
No, it won't be that way. Jill says, Ken, I was happy to see your 192 update. Any timelines made public on the changes or plans to create the new districts? So apparently the districts are already approved. It's really more so now investing the money back. And so they're going to the federal government, they're going to the state with different tourism tax and try to kind of help reshape what's already there. But unfortunately, 99% of it is really up to the local business owners. And so I think what they have done a really good job with is allowing better permitting and faster things to get approved with redevelopment, which is going to make that whole tchotchke kind of area a little bit nicer. And so allowing these developers to go in. Actually, some of you guys mentioned on the comments of the video, they were like, hey, this could be ripe for like somebody to go buy and redeveloped. And I don't know why I never thought about it. The 192 area, like buying a retail strip.
Being a Floridian, 192, I mean, you avoid it, right?
You do.
You just avoid it. Like,
traffic's
that's
rough.
where the tourists are, right?
Yeah.
Not the locals. But if this becomes redeveloped, we should absolutely.
No, I'm serious. Like I was thinking like all the retail strips, all the old stuff that like looks like kind of like garbage right now.
Let's call Foxtail. Let's call Kelly's.
Yeah. Let's just kind of keep turning it around. I think it's a great idea. So
Rebecca thinks that you should buy it.
Yeah. Well, Rebecca, you're right. We should buy it. We should. All right. So somebody asked a really good question around the affordable housing with Disney. All right. So John R says, I read that affordable housing will be built by Disney, and it will be attainable housing. What exactly is attainable housing? This is like a TBD, John, in terms of how they're going to approach this. So if you look at what they do over with their cast members, they stack some of these people multiple apartments, right? But if you look at, for those of you who don't know what John's talking about, there's basically been 80 acres set aside by Disney. They're going to be move-in ready by 2026. So that's coming up really, really quick. Disney's already basically said that they're going to try to have they're going to announce they already announced the developer, I'm sorry, but it's going to be 1,400 housing units, and they're going to be apartment homes. So they're not going to be something that you're going to be able to buy. It is going to be a rental for sure. And then TBD on like how big they are, if they put multiple people per unit like they do with their cast members. But they're not the only ones doing this. Have you heard about the Universal one?
No, I haven't heard about the Universal one.
So Universal is they're calling it the Housing for Tomorrow project. They're doing something very similar. It's over, it's actually going to be right next to Epic Universe and that whole, they're doing 1,000 high quality apartments, but not only are there going to be apartments, but they're doing the Jeff Bezos school over there, which I think is really cool. And they're going to have a live, work, retail, that people will be able to work at the parks. But what I did find out is that it's not going to be just for Universal team members. It's going to be for anybody who lives in the area. Universal is just helping kind of offset some of the costs of the construction to hopefully bring down costs for more affordable housing. Now, when people say affordable housing, that just typically means that there's an income level
right.
ceiling that people can have to be able to live there.
To live in the property, which I think is so necessary. But also when you tell me all the stuff that's going to be coming to where Epic is, I'm like, where is this going to fit?
Where is this going? But if you look over there, I mean, like there's still plenty of land.
There is. You just don't think there is when you're thinking about the area, because it's, you know, it's very trafficky. It's got the Universal parks over there, and they feel a little bit tighter compared to how open and luxurious the Disney parks can feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, agreed.
But also, it's not just Universal that's over there. I mean, like Millennium Mall is so close, and there's so much.
Huge.
There's so many jobs. There's so much going on over
Yeah.
there. I think it would be a really good opportunity. We need more apartments. This is awesome.
Yeah, I think, well, as we see, like the more apartments that we get, the lower the pricing is coming down. I think this is a good thing, especially for our area. All right, so there was a thing, Orlando Weekly, apparently T and what is this? I can't say this out loud because it doesn't sound right. There's a global attendance ranking. How about that? That sounds good. So for the theme parks, and go, guess what? Guess who was number one?
Who's number one? Ken?
Disney was number one. Go figure.
What? Shocking.
I'm so shocked. But one of the things that Universal actually knocked out Disney, the Islands of Adventure.
Knocked out 3 of the Disney parks.
Correct.
Not Magic Kingdom, of course, but the other 3.
So they beat out Hollywood Studios, Animal Kingdom, and Epcot. So congratulations to Universal. That is awesome.
Number 2.
This is right.
2.
But one of the things I thought was I wanted to talk more about was, have you noticed a lot of these like promos that are all of a sudden being run by both Universal and Disney?
Listen, I'm watching these promos daily because Universal, are you listening? Where are my Halloween Horror Nights tickets?
Ooh.
Where are they?
Okay, wait, we're going to get there in a minute though. But I look at like, okay, so tourism, there was actually an article that came out around Osceola and how tourism over the past 30 days has kind of slumped compared to last year. Now, I've been to the parks, you've been to the parks, it's busy as can be.
Mm-hmm.
And yet I'd have never seen so many like Instagram ads and Facebook ads from Disney and Universal, at least not for the past 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, they're pushing them.
They're pushing really hard and you can get 25% off of resorts later this fall. So take advantage of that. If you're watching, you don't live here, or if you're into a staycation, which is one of our favorite things to do, there's a lot of that stuff going on here. But let's get back to Halloween Horror Nights.
So we were teased by the Hollywood tickets being available for sale. So California is getting first dibs.
It's kind of a bummer.
It is kind of a bummer, but I was told, super secret advice over here, that we're thinking that it's going to be happening the second week of July. Don't quote me on that because this is a rumor. But you'll know when I know, because it'll be all over my Instagram.
So, all right. So this starts in what, September?
September. Yep.
Okay.
And last year it was August, the first week of August, that they released tickets. That's so late. Don't you agree?
That is really late. Yeah. All right. So this year they're obviously, you've got a Last of Us house. Mm-hmm. Did you play the game or watch the show?
I did play The Last of Us. It's great. 10 out of 10. I'm a big video game person. It's super spooky. It's very engaging. It's almost canon to the movies or the show. It's like so good. Like the game and the show. It's like sequins that, are you a game person? Like
a little bit, yeah.
You know, when they have the cut scenes and it's like a real cool graphic. Yep. I mean, it's almost identical shot for shot in some of the scenes that they did in the show. So I'm really hoping that the house has some of those like shot for shot, you know, like,
well, you know how amazing the detail is that they do. So I have to believe that you guys at Universal or the gals at Universal are putting something together that's going to pay fan service in like the best ways. I look at
spores and mushrooms everywhere.
Oh man, I'm so excited and yet also creeped out already. If you look at, they're talking about another potential rumored house. What have you heard about this one?
Which one's the rumored house?
Stranger Things.
Oh, Stranger Things. That's right. I'm over here. I was reading comments.
That's okay.
I got distracted. Yeah. So Last of Us, Stranger Things. I mean, these are some big houses, which is why I'm a little nervous that the tickets are going to get sold out, especially like the premiere tickets, you know, the VIP or whatever, because I think there's so much that they're offering this year. It's really exciting. I've been feeling like, and this is kind of maybe like an unpopular opinion, that they've needed to spice it up a little bit because it's been kind of like, it's Halloween Horror Nights. It's great, but like we need something really exciting. And I'm feeling like this year,
Those two would be
those
incredible.
two are going to be incredible.
So I did an RIP tour last year, and I feel like that's the only way to do
It,
Halloween.
it really is. I know.
I
Once
cannot
you get
wait to do it again this
spoiled
year.
with it, it's really hard to wait in a 2-hour line with your friends in
Yes.
the heat.
Yeah. Jill mentions that in June WDW annual pass holder discounts. Yeah, there was a ton of annual pass holder discounts, which I think that's kind of the cool thing about living here. Like you get all of these different theme parks, and we get to enjoy them with millions of people from around the world that come join us. But when it slows down, I kind of like it.
I do. I'm one of those people that will stay through the rain because then I know the park is empty and you can just walk onto everything. It's really fun.
Yeah, agreed. Jeff mentions this is a good one. So just got home from work in Walnut Creek, California. Glad to catch you live. I'm about 3 months away from moving out there. Congratulations, Jeff. And he says, I can't wait to experience the holidays in Orlando.
Nothing like it.
Oh,
there's
so
nothing
close.
like it.
And the holidays for us start in September when you get to Halloween and then all the way through.
They start when Starbucks releases the pumpkin spice latte. That's when you know.
Really?
That's the unveiling
it's good to know.
of the holidays.
Jeremy asks, which pass do you have? Because if you're Premier Pass,
you do get one Halloween Horror Nights ticket for free. But listen, Jeremy, that's not enough for Kristen. She needs she needs to be there all the time.
All the time. All right. So Jay asks, what's the best foodie town in your area, for your opinion? Winter Park, Winter Garden, Mills 50, Disney Springs, Milk District, or other. Any recommendation for foodie channels?
I'm a Mills 50 girl. I could literally eat there every night.
What's like your maybe
all
2
of them.
or 3 go-tos?
So there's a place called, we call it Chicken, but it's chicken, and it's like Korean inspired tacos, and they're fantastic. And then there's, Mamak, which is phenomenal. And then there's Sea Thai, which is a little bit outside of Mills 50, but we still group it in. I could go on and on. I love Mills 50. There's so much diversity in the type of cuisine that's there. And there's a lot of nightlife too. Yeah. They've got the modern now over there, or modern, or however we pronounce it. So you can get a cocktail, and then you can go eat a taco, and then you can go get a milkshake, and then a donut. It's like fabulous. It's one of my favorite areas.
It really is. Like when I talk about, if you want to get outside of the theme parks, for sure, I think Mills 50 and Winter Park probably are like hand in hand. Like you should probably go check out both areas. And especially we get a lot of people relocating here from like Toronto and from California, and they're like, where's the food? Like where's the non-chain stuff? Yeah. And those are 2 really great places I feel like people have to go explore.
Winter Park Ave is fabulous.
Absolutely. Yeah. So Devar asks, David Weekley homes or Ashton Woods homes better? That's a really good question. I think they're so darn close.
Yeah.
I think David Weekley does a really good job with some of their smaller, like, cause they're typically like 2,700 square feet or smaller kind of builder. Ashton Woods has their plant model, which is smaller, but most of their stuff is 3,000 square foot plus. So it really depends on what you're looking for. I've lived in a David Weekley home and an Ashton Woods home. I've had to deal with both of their warranty departments, and I thought they were both really kind of similar.
Pretty comparable.
Yeah. They had both, like, so Ashton Woods does have sort of their silver leaf or silver line product, silver something. I'm blanking off the top of my head, but it's kind of like a lower tier. It's more like a DR Horton or Lennar kind of product. So you got to make sure you're not trying to compare those two.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas David Weekley doesn't have that. It's kind of like, here's our standard. We're going to start here and go up.
And I think a lot of people don't know that. And so they'll see maybe like the lower end product and compare that to kind of like the generalized product from another builder and think, oh, well, this builder is definitely better than the other. But really, a lot of these builders are offering different tiers of home, which is great because there's lots of different people and price points that they're looking in. And so you kind of want to compare the same, I guess, standard of home when you're looking at builder to builder.
Yeah, agreed.
Because there's some that have a luxury.
There's some, yeah. Well, so DR Horton is like, they've got their baseline, then they've got their Emerald line.
Emerald, yeah.
That's like their higher end line. But yeah, and even like a Toll Brothers, which I'm a really big fan of. I think their standard is great.
Beautiful.
But they have like their like a Popka version. They've kind of, it's Toll Brothers Light.
Yeah, Toll Brothers Light. I like that.
Yeah.
We should tell them to coin that.
We should. They can send me $100 for every house they sell. With
and
Toll
then
Brothers
we'll be
Light.
able to go on that space balloon.
Yeah, or at least Victoria and Albert's. All right, so we had a couple other good questions out here I want to make sure that we get to. Gosh, you guys were crushing it tonight.
I know, they're so active. I love it.
So Andy asks, any update on when the Lake County Orange connection from 27 will open? And somebody else actually asked, in addition to that, once that opens, what do I think will happen to Horizon West? Will it be too saturated? Both of them great questions. So the connection from Horizon West over to 27 is going to be opening like late 25, early 26. So still some time. And I think that by the time 26 rolls around, most of Horizon West will be built out. And then that means like Claremont's the next wild
Claremont is coming.
Yeah. I mean, like that's once you have, there's actually 4 new roads that are going to be connecting kind of Orange County to Lake County. And I really do believe that whole 27 range, we're going to look up 10 years from now and not
Claremont and
recognize it.
Mineola are going to be unrecognizable.
I think that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. There'll be more pockets. So then instead of just saying, oh, we've got Mills 50 and Winter Park, then we'll be like, well, have you been to this area of Claremont?
That's
or
right.
you know, wherever. I love it.
Yeah, Horizon West. If you haven't been to Hamlin yet, there's a ton of new stuff open. There's a French bakery that's just opened up. There's Chick-fil-A that just opened up. There's Urban Air that just opened up.
Yeah, that looks really fun.
That looks
I've been watching
really
a lot of
fun.
our agent partners take their kids to Urban Air.
Yeah, that looks like so much fun. It's like good for kids and adults. I think it's going to be a good little community builder for sure. So lots of stuff happening in Horizon West in the Hamlin area and really all over Central Florida, which is why we love it.
I know. It's so exciting.
Doesn't get boring here.
It doesn't. I don't have kids, but I would go to Urban Air and I would bounce on the bounce stuff with the kids too.
This is absolutely true. One of the last questions we'll take for tonight. So Robert asks, the family's finally here after 9 months of waiting for your house to be built. For A, welcome, Robert. So
welcome.
That's so cool.
And 9 months, honestly,
Not bad.
Not that bad.
Not bad. You should be super happy about that, honestly, but welcome. Super happy to have you. But Kristen, thanks for joining me tonight.
I am always happy to be here. You know how I feel about KP squared.
KP squared. And if you guys have any other questions, drop in the comments below. We'll try to either answer them or create a whole video about them. Because again, this is what we do. We want to answer your questions. Make sure you guys get it solved and be your real estate resource of choice. If you haven't already, for those of you watching, hit the thumbs up button, the like. It pushes us out to everybody else that subscribes to the channel and more. It means the world. Thank you.